Today I want to talk about Maalik Murphy and what makes him controversial. And all that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time. Today, I want to talk about five-star quarterback Maalik Murphy, who committed to Texas last week, drawing comparisons to Cam Newton for his size and his ability to move and his ability to throw. But the pick is controversial by Steve Sarkisian if you round this out. And I thought this was a very good point that was raised by 247 Sports national recruiting analyst Greg Biggins, who is the best dude west of the Mississippi covering high school football as far as I'm concerned. You'll know that Maalik comes out of Juniper-Serra, right? Same high school that Tom Brady came out of. But there's reason to doubt this pick, and it might turn out to be controversial for reasons that, well, Greg walked out, and I want to walk those comments out for you here because Biggins is one of those guys that helps really set the rankings and evaluate the talent and say who gets this star or that star. It's a process, right? And being in those meetings, I'm sure, is hard and difficult, but also when they choose to talk about the goings-on of them, it's fascinating to hear them speak about what they're weighing versus what they're not. A lot of that has to do with what the game is doing, what schools are interested, what coaches are interested. Like, for instance, if Lincoln Riley likes a quarterback, that's going to go into your evaluation. I don't care who you are. You want to be good at that position, and Lincoln Riley's one of the best at it, right? Same thing if we're talking about Bill Bedenbaugh, an offensive lineman, or Sam Pittman, an offensive lineman, or Kyle Flood, an offensive lineman, or Matt Luke, an offensive lineman. You get where I'm going with this, right? So the comments are long, but I also want to give them to you here. This could be very controversial for our friend Coach Sark if it does not work out. That's Biggins. I'm a big Maalik fan, as you know, everyone on their recruiting call knows. The reality is he has not played football. We didn't have a fall season in California. As a sophomore, he was kind of a rotating quarterback with an upperclassman, right? Then he kind of hurt his shoulder. I think he only threw 50 balls as a sophomore. He's going to hopefully have a big senior year, and that's going to be great. But I think the development for a quarterback is so big. And then he, talks about the elephant in the room, which is Quinn Ewers is the number one player, not just in the state of Texas, but in the country. And one of 6 players ever to achieve a 1.000 rating from 247 Sports across the composite. That is taking into account the rankings of ESPN and Rivals as well. And then you got Sark being hired, really kind of making Ohio State fans nervous. Texas fans are giddy because he's coming off of a national championship win at Alabama. You've seen him develop Tua Tagovailoa and Mac Jones, right? You understand that his calling card is offense, and you thought perhaps he would make a swing at Quinn Ewers. And then you're talking about a guy like Connor Weigman, who might end up being the number 2 player in this class at quarterback, who's committed to A&M, and you're basically taking him off the board as well. Now, the guy who masterminds a dude like Mac Jones, and if Mac Jones ends up in the first round, deserves all the credit for whomever he chooses to pick. But again, if Weigman or Ewers turns out to be awesome, you're going to have Texas fans on your head. And then there's Cade Klubnik, who actually beat Ewers in the state championship game last January. So, and you're really saying I'm going to forget about the top 3 quarterbacks in Texas, Connor Weigman, Cade Klubnik, and of course Quinn Ewers, so I can go get the guy out of Juniper-Serra who hasn't thrown more than 50 footballs in the past 2 years and split time as a junior? Yeah, again, it has to work for him. I like Maalik Murphy. I think there's a lot of people that like Maalik Murphy, but you don't know what you're getting. And the thing that we can all say is true about quarterback play is the more you throw the ball, the more snaps you get, the better you're going to be, period. But that's true with everything. The more reps you get, the better off you're going to be. I also thought it's interesting that Greg makes this point. Instead, if Stark pivots to those 3 in-state guys who are all very good with Texas ties, decides to get a guy from California who has thrown 50 balls and is very much an unknown. For me, it was a risk. I like it because I like Maalik, but I can definitely see a scenario where if Maalik doesn't pan out the way we all hope he does, and one of those guys, Klubnik, Weigman, or Quinn, blows up and leads their team to a playoff or wins a Heisman or something like we know Quinn can, there's going to be a lot of second guessing. There's going to be a lot of second guessing of the University of Texas football coach anyway, right? But I thought it was interesting that Greg raised this point about how little football Maalik Murphy has played. In addition to what we know, right, is that he's from California, Sark's a West Coast guy. You got 3 outstanding quarterbacks right there in the state of Texas that you could recruit to the flagship, one of which was recruited and committed, right? Not 6 months ago. I get that Ohio State seems to have their claws in, but what do we know about recruiting? And what do we know about the Debbie Downers that show up to the channel? I don't want to know about any recruit till he signs. Well, then it's too late for you. And you're not built for recruiting, that's fine. Stay out of the comments talking about it. If this doesn't matter to you, it doesn't matter to you. But I think raising those points is very important, which means that Sark's going to have a heavy hand in Maalik Murphy. We've also seen that coaches will really ride too long a blue chip recruit because they need that guy to pan out for recruiting purpose, for donor purposes. You might even have a walk-on who's more talented. It's going to take a lot of confidence for you to go and play that walk-on ahead of that blue chip recruit. Texas, you'll see some of those guys come through and you'll be like, yo, man, maybe you need to go a different way over here. But no, his profile coming in, his profile at the university denotes I'm going to continue to coach this guy up as opposed to somebody else that might be able to play the position a little bit better because ego and pride. Hope that doesn't go into it, but I thought this was worth bringing to you to talk about. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Deuces.